It's time once again to slip into your camo, grab your bow, and join us out in the field for another episode of the Up North Journal, presented by PSE Archery. The Up North Journal crew is knocked and ready to rock for another exciting adventure. So let's step outside and hit the trail.
Welcome back to another episode of the Up North Journal, everybody. I'm host Mike Adams, sitting in the cabin tonight with Dan DeFaw. Before we get started, we want to help you save some money.
That's right, folks. Don't forget to use our promo codes to save that money. And let's start off with buckbaits.com. That's right, the brick and mortar store of Buck Baits down at Sterling Heights, Michigan at 15 and Dodge Park. Go over there. If you're on the website, buckbaits.com, use the promo code UNJ20. That will get you 20% off your order.
For those of you who are looking for Easy Cut products, make sure you go to easycutproducts.com. And when you're there, use the UNJ promo code UNJ15 off to save 15% off your order.
And let's not forget Lincoln Roan over at packermax.com. It's never too early, never too late to think about the Packer Max. Go on over to packermax.com, use the promo code UNJ25. That'll give you $25 off your order over at Packer Max Outdoors.
For those of you looking for some new firearms and firearm products, make sure you go over to the islandarmory.com. While you're there shopping, use the promo code UNJ10 to save 10% off your order there.
If you shot that bird of a lifetime and you want it mounted, don't forget Troublesome Creek Taxidermy. We've had them live on the show. We've talked to them. You want to get 10% off your order, go to Facebook, go to troublesome.creek.7, find their website. If you go to our website, UNJ, make sure to click on the button to download the form. You get 10% off over there using the code UNJ10.
Looking for that game call, whether it be a squirrel, whether it be goose, duck, deer, make sure you go to JPO Game Calls. Look for them at jpogamecalls.com, and while you're there shopping, use the UNJ10 promo code to save 10% off your order.
And Miller Deer Tracking, the man that seems to never sleep during deer season. Get 20% off your next deer tracking using the promo code UNJ20. Look for Miller Deer Tracking on Facebook or give him a call over at 810-240-4891.
Looking for the hottest new plastics to take on the water, whether it be hard water or soft water? Make sure you go over to southernindianabaitco.com. While there, use the UNJ promo code UNJ10 to save 10% off your order.
Deer Camp Coffee, folks. We drink it every night on the show. You want to try it? You can go to the brick and mortar store at 15 and Dodge Park at Deer Camp itself, or go to deercampcoffee.com. Also use our promo code UNJ10. You get 10% off your order. And don't forget, get a bag of the UNJ medium roast blend there as well.
All right, Danny, where's our live view camera to look from tonight?
Welcome back to another live episodes of the Up North Journal, live in the cabin. But tonight's live looking northbound.
Dude, slow the thing down. It's going to hit us.
I know. Look at that thing turning on a dime. Coming down the St. Clair River, we've got the Mantulan. I think I can read that.
You did better than me.
Right?
I can't see it.
But that ship actually was the second ship. There's a ship about 5 minutes ago that was coming down the river.
Oh, that's not the same one.
No, it's a different one.
Oh, I thought it was the same one. I thought the camera turned.
No. This is actually right about 5 minutes behind the other ship. And, and we've been watching this come down the river. And this boat, we don't know how long this boat is, but I tell you what.
It's about that long.
Thank you very much. It's about as long as my screen, right?
Yeah.
But watching this thing navigate through these buoys in this narrow river is just amazing.
I'm really shocked at how quickly that thing turned.
Did you see that when it turned? But amazing view from this camera on the Lake St. Clair, courtesy of the boatnerd.com. So and I don't see it raining there. Here in southern Michigan, we're having some interesting rainstorms come through.
Yeah, I thought my stomach was grumbling earlier, but it was actually a thunder outside.
All righty.
Well, I just say be forewarned tonight. That's all I can tell you.
If I turn green, folks, you'll know why. Tammy Delk, Mark Coleman, and Adam Wynn are in the house.
Mr. Ginsel's watching as well.
All right, Mr. Ginsel. But, I tell you what, we had some interesting storms roll through about 3 o'clock this afternoon. They're a little loud. Mm-hmm. Lots of rain.
Unlike last week when we had 3-inch diameter hail hit.
Right?
Just east of here and tear up about, a couple thousand cars.
Yeah, 2 or 3 dealerships lost their whole inventory.
The whole fleet, yeah. Over 400 cars at the one.
Yep, totally taken out with Mr. Hale.
Yeah, it was crazy. I've never seen anything like it. It's, but you know, it's interesting that a friend of mine at work, we were talking about the animals and what happens during a hailstorm like that, of that size. I mean, they were literally tennis ball and baseball size hail that came down in that area over there. And that area does have some rural side to it, where there's deer, turkey.
Oh, right.
You know, all kinds of waterfowl, all kinds of animals. What happens when that stuff starts coming down? Where do they go? He asked me. I said, I don't know. You know, I would think they would try to get under some pine trees and get some kind of cover.
You would think that they would sense it and head for cover, but I really don't know if they actually do, because you always hear about we hear about now summertime forest fires.
Yeah, right.
You know, what do they do then?
Yeah.
Some can burrow and hide. Some get out of the area.
Yeah.
You have seen pictures of some that get burned.
Yep.
Adam Wynn says it's amazing to watch those ships come through the Manistee. It's a tight fit.
Yeah. Yep.
Tammy says it's a little shorter than most freighters that go through there. And Mark Coleman says Mike is on a roll tonight.
I'm on a roll. I've had
Right.
I've had a few rolls too.
So, but yeah, so you know, and all you know, we had it again this week, where we had to deal with the Canadian wildfires again. The haze coming through and the smoke, and there you go, Mark Coleman. That's a good one, Mark. What about crop damage from the hail?
Well, you know, when we were talking about that as well, because right now here in Michigan, we always say knee high by 4th of July. Right now, most of the corn in this area is head high or maybe even a little taller. It's really come on because we've got some rain, good rain here lately. And, you know, you got wheat fields, you got soybean fields. Yeah, it just...
What happens, right?
They get pummeled.
They do. And, Tom Ginsel says years ago it happened at the Buick Open.
I vaguely remember that. I do.
Okay.
I mean, I've been at the station 34 years, and we've had to call off a couple of shows out there when we do the specials after the day's golf.
Right, exactly. And, you know, you just, like I said, dealing with the Canadian wildfires, you know, listening to, are they doing the right forestry management programs up there, or they're not, obviously.
Right.
But, you know, it happened out in California several years back. By not logging, this is what you get.
Yep.
So it's all about
Managing the resources.
managing your resources, exactly. And that's kind of what we, you know, not knowing what we were going to do tonight, and we decided, there's something that I noticed when I was in Africa, and we had a lot of time. We had a lot of time to talk. But, you know, it was just one of those things that you start to sit down and you kind of start to, from our point of view, start to pick their minds as to, you know,
How do you do things?
yeah.
Well, you and I have sit here many a nights. You know, your place where you hunt, where I hunt, it's different. I mean, you're in the UP, I'm down here in the lower. Not to mention the fact that it's just different management styles, but different areas and topographies altogether. And you're like, okay, well, we sit down and that's what we do. We talk about those things. Like, how would you approach this, or how do you approach this?
You know, from, let's say for us here in the United States, you meet these gentlemen at the shows, and you know they want you to come to their establishment. Obviously, going to Matwetwe, knowing them for years, but you always have those expectations in your head of what they do. But when you finally get there, you get to ask the questions, and they are more than happy to answer that and kind of learn about the history of all the conservation areas that they call them conservation areas that they hunt in. But what they really do is they manage the soil, they manage the game, they manage the acreage that they have, whether it be like the smallest one we hunted was 3 square miles. But the biggest one they are able to hunt that I hunted was 27 square miles.
Okay.
And, you know, there's a game manager at that when we went and visited. So he's got on his plate, he's got a 27 square miles to manage. And how do you do that?
It's something that big, you really have to be on top of. It's a lot to take on.
It's a lot to take on, whether you are just managing your animals, managing the trees that are there, managing water management, because they have a dry season. Mm-hmm. They got to have all that taken care of, and they work really hard to provide for the species that is in that area, for the longevity, and for the when you go and hunt, the atmosphere when you get there, the expectations,
It's interesting you bring up expectations. Because you mentioned that, you've met these gentlemen here in the States. Obviously, you book a hunt, we go to the, safari shows or these outdoor shows where they've got tables and booths set up, and they got this big spread of pictures. They got books in front of them with all kinds of pictures you can flip through and look at all the animals that's been taken on their property and that you're able to take and hunt. And then so you say, okay, I want to go hunt and I want to take these animals. You've got an expectation, but it's solely based on their word and photographs.
Well, exactly. You start there, and you're at a show. You're looking at their booth, 10 by 10. They've got pictures all over of people taking their animals and stuff. And this picture that I'm showing right now is the fruits of their labors, which I benefited. Mm-hmm. Right? Now, granted, you can go for many animals, little animals, but the whole point was they've managed their area to accommodate all of the animals on their list. It's 62 that they have on their list that you can possibly hunt.
And as well as non-game species.
Yep. That didn't even get into the non-games, right? They don't hunt. So, but this is the fruits of the labor, and it doesn't happen overnight. Mm-hmm. This has been years in the making. There's been places where they haven't hunted. The one that I talked about that was 27 square miles was first time in 5 years.
Really?
That we were able to go hunt that.
You were the first person within 5 years to go hunt that property.
Yeah, yep. It was. They said they haven't hunted it in 5 years, and the game manager says you could come out and go after and go look for what we were after, and that was the day we went and hunted the kudu.
Okay.
And also impala with Denise, but it was so not knowing what we were walking into. That's why we had their game manager drive.
Okay, he was going to be your guide.
Yeah, and we did the hunting off the back of the truck and so forth. But when you look at all the animals you have able to go after, and you sit down and you talk and you discuss what you want to go after, and you reach out and they're like, okay, we're going to go to this area to hunt I was after the kudu, the sable, the zebra. But you also see these other game species here as well out of this blind, and during the years of COVID was really bad for them.
For the animals or the managers, the hunting camps?
It was obviously the money aspect from people coming in to hunt.
Okay.
But the animals started getting to the point where they needed just to go shoot them.
Becoming overpopulated.
Yep.
Okay.
And they were starting to affect
the habitat. Overbrowsing.
So they literally had to go out and just shoot animals at will. Obviously, they did save the meat and everything, but
sure.
It wasn't a fun, hey, this gentleman got to experience it. It was like, it was a necessary of the means, right?
Right.
So getting there and learning all this.
Never thought about that with COVID.
Right. They did not have anybody coming in to hunt them, so they had to go do it. And it just wasn't, it was a sad thing, but a necessary thing.
Did they ever say at that point if they took and gave away the meat, or did they sell the meat?
So what was happening was, because they had no tourism, no nothing going on, price of meat kind of went down. They were able to donate a lot because they were trying to get to the schools if they were still in session. And, but yeah, price of meat came crashing down as well because the restaurants didn't need it.
Right.
The camps or whoever else bought meat didn't need it because they had no visitors coming in.
Right. Interesting, man. I never ever thought of that.
It was. He says, Dan, it was so sad. They'd go in like the blessed buck or the impala, and they'd have to shoot 10, 15 animals just they needed to shoot them. They weren't gonna. They were gonna eat themselves out of habitat, right? So that also helps getting their ecosystem, getting it right. And so that's the hunting part of it that they actually had to do. Now that with it opening back up, they're a lot happier. They can spread and enjoy it more with the people that come in to hunt. Now,
That's got to be a fine balance of knowing you've got this amount of acreage, however much it is, and you've got a habitat that supports X amount of animals. You know, which ones do you take, and how many do you take, so you don't tip that balance in a detrimental way to where all of a sudden, you know, the land starts to flourish, but now you don't have enough species left to populate and keep it maintained.
exactly. And so one of the other things that, so the one property was a few years before we went, and he hunted that. So that was for the kudu, which I was very lucky enough to get. But the picture I'm showing now was another property, which was a little bit closer. This was the first time this gentleman on the left, he's the owner actually of the property.
Okay.
It was the first time in a few years that they let people hunt sable.
Okay.
So we were the first ones in that they had been watching the sable, making sure that they were sustained and old enough to be taken.
Okay.
So it took a few years, but we were able to go in, and we actually took 2 off this property for him, and he was quite happy. He was like, "That, you know, that's perfect. That's what I need."
Did they have, were they like reintroduced to this area and they had to get a certain age?
So
Or how did that work?
what happened was I think they hunted it, and they needed it to let it replenish. So it got to the point where he was happy with the amount of animals that he has, because he had impala as well, sable, other animal, and he had his normal cattle.
Okay.
So they took enough sable, and he said, "Well, you know what? They're not. You know, it takes them a little bit to grow above 40 inches, what they want to go to." So he shut it down, and he opened it up back this year for him.
Okay.
So, and that, you know, that keeping, as you can see, what they feed off of in these pictures is, you know, it's not your local farm crop that they have there, right?
Do they plant crops on these?
Not really.
They call these consortiums, right?
Yes. And so you will see like thickets, and you'll see open fields like this, but there's no planting. They might add some minerals.
Okay.
Salt blocks.
Water holes.
Water holes. It's a dual purpose. Obviously, in the dry season when it's hunting, it's a good close way to bring them in.
Okay.
But trust me, the amount of animals that use that water hole, as opposed to how many animals they take from it,
Right.
it's not even close. The number, I'd say, and Harm even said, he goes, "Dan, if I don't show you 100 animals a day, I'm not doing my job." And he's spot on. Because literally, you'd see them, whether they're in the field, and you'd see all sorts of different animals. And the shot I had out of the blind, actually, all the animals that I was after were there.
Okay.
And I never saw a sable there. I never saw a kudu there. He goes, "They're here." But it's just so vast.
Right.
We finally pushed a sable there, but
That's why I call it hunting.
Exactly.
Not target practice.
Right. And so you just kind of, you go along, and so they go in, and, you know, people want to hunt the animals that we did. Dave was there hunting for a buffalo, but Hendrick wanted to help out his buffalo herd that he had on his own property. So what he did is he went and purchased 2 bulls.
Okay.
And it was all manual labor, as you see in this picture. You had 16 guys lifting this into a trailer, a drugged water buffalo. You just get and it was done they had the vet there. They had everybody there that needed to be there to make sure that this animal made it safely from this pen to the other area that it was going to. And they went in and they had to do it, but it was nice to see. It just wasn't hodgepodge. It wasn't
like going down the road and you're going to buy, hey, I want to buy that bull and that bull, put them in a trailer, get them rounded up, take them over and put them out in pasture and let them go.
Exactly. They got this
methodical.
It was so methodical of making sure that, you know, when they drugged it to get it sleepy, it was still awake. It was kind of
Slipped him a Mickey.
They did, literally, and he was kind of cheesed off. And
I bet.
But it was just so when they got to the other spot, you know, give him the anti, wake him up a little bit, and he was kicking the trailer. Dave was actually on top of the trailer. He says he's like rocking on a boat.
Yeah. Don't you have a picture of that by chance?
I don't have that of him on top of the trailer.
I'd like to see that.
Right? Dave's got the video, I think, of it. But yeah, so you just, you know, you wonder what they do, and there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes. It just amazes me.
So with these two bulls, were they put in an area that that was enclosed where they couldn't get into the general population for a while?
So what it was they did that. That is where this bull was hanging out.
Okay.
It cleared waivers.
It cleared waivers.
Right? It went through all the they captured it in the pen.
Because they don't want to bring disease in.
Absolutely. It needed to pass all the tests that it needed to pass, and once you got the okay, it's like, okay, we're going to move them.
Just like a ball player, he has to have a physical.
It has a physical, make sure it doesn't have any diseases, and they got it to where they wanted it to go, and they were hoping that it would find the females, and
I'm sure it did.
they did see the one bull a few days later, and it was.
Okay.
We actually seen them out on the property. It was kind of neat. So, you know, it's just a little bit of conservation. You hear it here in Michigan a lot, whether it be the fisheries division or our outdoor division, or even a good project is the turkeys.
Right.
You know, you always see them transporting
great success
them.
here.
Yeah.
We got the Moose Project going on up in the UP. We've got a great success story with the elk herd here in Michigan as well.
Right. If you're lucky enough to get a tag.
There you go.
Which I wasn't. You know, and you just...
A couple questions here. Adam's asking, do they do any burning off of vegetation or clear cutting? Do they manage the vegetation part of it?
So the vegetation part, not so much. There really isn't nothing to clear, because like you see in some of these pictures. Let me find a good picture here. This one here. You'll see that whether it can be brushy, but it also is a lot of field.
Okay.
You know, in this one here was it was more field with edges.
Okay.
And we could dart into different fields and peek and see and get around them and whatnot. But
they don't burn off any
They don't
vegetation.
burn it off unless it's natural.
Okay.
You know, lightning storm and lightning strike, whatever. It is what it is.
Gotcha.
But they don't do any planting. They don't do any land management as of clear cutting or anything like that.
Okay.
I don't know if there's anything in this area because it's plains. Like you said, it's flat. We could see some mountain ranges off, but there really is not a lot of trees.
I gotta imagine. I mean, you know better than me. Obviously, you've been there. But I gotta imagine over there, you've got these vast plains. If you were to start a burn there, and it got out of hand, there's nothing to stop it. You know, like here in our area, you know, we've got, you know, main roads. Everything seems to be in big block sections where there's always an opportunity to actually contain and stop the fire generally. So over there, I mean, you're talking big, vast blocks of land. So you got a fire going and it got out of hand, it could be gone.
You know, in this picture here, you're looking at, like I said, you'd have a field, but then all of a sudden you'd run into this. It's it's brush, it's thick, and it's full of thorns.
Okay.
You know, and that was like you're looking on the left, you can see the field, you'd have the brush on the right, and there was actually another field on the left, or left brush, right is field as well. So what they would do is they would just let this go.
Well, I got to imagine, too, that type of habitat is advantageous for the animals to have a place to get into to hide.
Absolutely.
For cover.
Which leads me right into Mark Coleman's question, is must not be much predator pressure in those areas. Not true, because they've got, they got leopard.
Lion.
We weren't in the lion area. There was leopard in the area. We saw, but not we, but our tracker saw a leopard on the property next door. So the leopard was there. And jackal.
Yeah, jackal, yeah.
Right? Heard them at night. So, there are predators, and they take what they want to take, whatever animal they might be after. Now, they've got a springbuck, impala, there's so many animals. And so that probably weeds out the weak ones.
Right. Helps to keep the diseased or the lame out.
Yep, exactly. And you wouldn't think of it because you don't see them, but you could hear them at night. So they're there. Mm-hmm. And, when you look back and, there was a leopard in the area. Man, like here in Michigan with the mountain lion, unless it walks in front of you, you're probably never even going to know it.
Yeah, I mean, it could be in a tree and you wouldn't even know it.
Exactly.
Until it's on you.
Right? And then until it's too late. So, so one of the other things that they did was, let me get this right here. So in the area, they used to be known as Springbuck Flats.
That was what the area was.
Yep, that they used to have a ton of them.
Okay.
Well, they died off.
Disease. Okay.
Yep.
What got them? Do you know?
I'm trying to remember. I thought it was. He had a name for it. It was kind of like blue tongue, but it was along those lines of that type of disease.
Okay, so it was more of a virus than a parasite?
Yeah, and it got to him, and it killed him off. So what they wanted to reintroduce him. So what Hendrick did was he found. So these places, when they start to have too many of a certain animal, they set up these big round
catch cages.
Yep. And it has a camera and an automatic door on it. And they'll watch that and they'll wait till they get what they're after in them. You might have too many impala, springbuck, zebra, whatever. Maybe they've got too many of whatever species, and they get in there and they close the door and they sell those off. So
to other consortiums?
Yep.
Okay.
And Hendrick picked up on a springbuck of 30. He says it's a really good price. So the part of it was they needed to go in, dart them all, and bring them into this new area. Well, you just can't do that because you're changing habitat of what they were eating and whatnot. So what they had to do is they had to go to the area where they were going to be transplanted to. They ended up shooting a springbuck. A blessed buck.
Which is a different species.
Yes. What they were looking for was they were after the stomach content.
Okay.
Because it has the vegetation that's there. It has all the parasites within that.
Enzymes and all that kind of good stuff.
Exactly. Plus the added of some antibiotic drugs to help them when they get to the new area. So they ended up finally shooting one. They took the stomach contents. They made a soup. And so 30 times they went got one out, pulled it out. They gave it a syringe full of the soup to get it into the stomach, to get it started. Gave it the necessary antibiotics to help it. And then they would load them up and take them to the new area. And so the hope was there that they would catch on instead of dying off.
It'd be like inoculating them.
Or it's exactly what it was.
Preloading their stomach to be predisposed to that new area.
Right. You just can't take them in there and let them start eating. So they kind of started them off saying, here, this is what you're going to be, your diet's going to be of. And so when you start to eat it, your stomach will be like, oh,
Okay.
we're not going to have a bad reaction. So
It's like changing pet food over.
It is. It literally is changing your pet food over. You just can't do it right away.
Yeah, you got to mix a little bit in.
Yep.
Give them a little more, cut it in half, and
So that's literally what they did using the
Conditioning it.
contents of another animal.
conditioning their stomach. That's pretty wild.
It is. It's very wild, and only got beat up a little bit because, wild animals don't like to be held down, even though they're semi-drugged, right?
Right.
But you see this happening, and I wish I would have got over to see this happening, but we were out hunting, and it would have been neat to see, but we didn't get to see. We got to see the transforming of the bulls from one to another, which was amazing, and trying to reintroduce springbuck into it'll take a few years. They're hoping a year or two they'll be able to see the benefits of what they did. They probably should know pretty quick. Probably, my guess is I don't know exactly what their mating season is, but if they could probably see that, and from the 30 that they have, they'll probably try to stay up on it. I'll have to reach out to Harmon and see what their cadence is to go check.
So starting a new herd in an area like that, I don't know how many acres they had or how square miles they had, but to me, it sounds like a small gene pool. 30. Do they worry about any anything genetically bad happening?
Well, that's
being reintroduced and multiplying and becoming a problem.
Right, exactly. They're hoping not. You because you do that in any species, that's what you run into. Right?
Would it be more advantageous maybe to take, 5 from this area, 5 from this area, 5, and kind of intermix them so they get a good mix of gene pool?
Well, so that's kind of also the issue is you're also at what the other guy caught, right?
Yeah, right.
He had 30 to sell, okay, at a good price.
Yeah,
that's where you got to go, right?
Yeah.
So it was one of those things you couldn't pass up a good deal. It took a lot of legwork to get it there, but it's also hoping maybe in a few years they might be able to offer a hunt for that.
Right.
And you just when you work it through what they go through, because they go through a dry season, the wet season, and they try to get out and look around and they have a really good, how like Scott has a really good system up on Saginaw Bay of
right.
reaching out and finding out what's going on.
It has a network.
They've got that there too with their game managers at other.
Everybody was working together for the common good.
Exactly, because when we went and got that sable, he gets a little bit of that money and what I paid, and it helps everybody. But so they all work together. There really isn't too. You'll get a few, I guess, whatever you want to call them,
Not team players?
Not team players. Good answer.
I'm trying to be politically correct.
I know, right? I was trying to look for the word.
You should have been here before the show.
Yeah, it wasn't politically correct.
It wasn't very nice either.
No, but it's just amazing the process they go through to get it to where next February when they're here for the show, here it is. This is what you'll be able to go hunt. And and that goes for these places that, when you talk to them, like, oh, it's fenced in. Yeah, well, you try to fence in 3 square miles. And I tell you what, that eland that I shot that was 1,700 pounds doesn't care. It's going to go through the fence.
Right.
It literally will go through the fence.
So, thinking about all that you've said, and I'm thinking about here in the States. We collectively, all of us, own the animals, as the general public. They're animals that belong to the people of the state of Michigan or to whatever state you're in. Those land managers, it's their animals. Mm-hmm. They own them. They can buy and sell and swap and move. Is there any regulation on that as far as moving animals from one consortium to the other? Is there rules they have to follow?
I think the rules are pretty much like they got to be disease free.
Okay.
They got to go through that whole what they did with the buffalo, right?
Got to pass the physical.
Yep. They got to get them. Got to get all the P's and Q's. Okay, we're going to be moving this animal to here. We don't want to transfer something bad there. So make sure, let's get them all vetted. Make sure it passes all the tests to get there.
Well, it's kind of like here in the state of Michigan when we had the problem with CWD. Not to bring that up and stomp that horse to death, but once that kind of hit and started taking root here, they really clamped down on transferring animals. There's so many regulations that you to even think about moving an animal anywhere.
So, for sure.
That's what made me think about that is the disease part of it, moving animals around, how highly regulated, if it was at all.
Right. How much does the government regulate their practices, or do they? I'm not 100% sure how much they got their fingers into it. I know they have to be licensed. If you're taking guns over, you got to make sure those are all gone through the government.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if there's any mandates per se. And that's a good question. I can't wait.
So when you went over, did you buy a license of any sort? It's just you go and you pay the fees to be able to hunt on this property.
Yep.
And you've got this, and this to choose from.
Right. Exactly.
Okay.
So it's all, so as far as the animals for inspections, license permits and such, they gotta, because they're also reselling the meat.
Mm-hmm.
They're selling, donating, so that's got to be made sure everything's up and up there. What they don't, I didn't see any inspectors show up. There was no fear of DNR.
Okay.
Now, if they're there, I really don't know. But, they actually take it upon themselves to be really sure that you are shooting mature animals.
Mm-hmm.
And that just goes to show you what everybody was in for, right? Whether it be the sable, the kudu, the zebra even. It was always make sure it's, one, a mature animal, and make sure you have a good shot.
Mm-hmm.
That's part of, like we have here, our hunter's education, right?
Right.
You shoot, where do you shoot? Well, you shoot it here, right? Denise is famous for asking, where would I shoot that? And it's that learning process, but that's what the painstaking, and if you shoot one that you messed up on, they are going to now go after it so it's not left. That's one of the things
it's not going to be a wasted animal.
It won't be a wasted animal. And that's all part of the conservation that they adhere to there. And you look at it and you just say, wow. And it wasn't, this is just two guys from Matwetwe. That's what they do, and they work with everybody else in the area that they can hunt with. And going back to Adam's question about getting about tree cutting and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
There was a property next to him. It was quite a big property, and Hendrick said that used to be a very good Impala. Great. But he went in and he did do some work on the property and kind of got rid of the food sources and everything, and he says it went bad. He says, so now it's years later, now it's coming back.
It takes a long time to grow
but
back.
It just doesn't happen overnight.
Right.
How close was the nearest medical center or hospital? I think there was one about 30 miles away.
So if that water buffalo would have got up and
yeah, it would have been
kicked somebody,
it would have been
wouldn't have been good.
No. Hope somebody knows first aid and it's not a broken bone.
Right.
And don't have to use a butter knife to amputate.
There you go.
But that's all, you are literally out in the middle of nowhere. Mm-hmm. You just, so, one of the things you see when you're out there is, that's a good segue there for a hospital. Everything out there in this bush can get you. And this tree here is a picker bush that is just, you walk through these, you crawl through these, you kind of, as you're stalking your animals.
Mm-hmm. And
this tree alone had, these are the size of toothpicks.
Wow.
That they can get you. And it was fall there, so we weren't so much worried about snakes, but they were there. But, get one of these in your eye,
yeah,
or your arm or your leg, Yeah, it hurts.
Well, you got to think, animals use this for cover to escape, but they're running through this stuff.
You know, and here's now, imagine running into this bush
Full of thorns.
full of thorns.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the one thing I can take going back to Africa is Dave wore shorts a lot.
Mm-hmm.
You should have seen his legs because they look like Swiss cheese, red and white. And he just got
Cut up, scratched
up. And I said, I can't do that. So it was just amazing to see that. But you know, first aid is another thing that they know very well. Is if you know if something happens, they got to be able to take care of you. And you just when you're stalking your animals, you literally walk looking for the animal and watching where you walk is like walking and chewing bubble gum, right?
That reminds me of those thorn trees that I saw down in Indiana. I call them devil trees.
Is that what? Yeah, is that the ones that were?
Had the long spikes on them.
Yeah. You know,
Yeah.
I totally get it that this could be a definite. Yeah, I could definitely see that. But
I mean, the spikes on them were, you know, anywhere from 2 to 4 inches long on that tree.
right?
And there were several on the property that we were hunting.
Oh, I know. You just.
But they're a resource to be used. Not, you don't want to get rid of them because, like I said, animals need that habitat to be able to escape.
Well, that's all part of it, right? It acts as protection, and whether it be the birds that use them as well to have their houses in them. I think they're a swallow type of bird, or yeah, everything has a use there.
They build houses.
The
Birds.
yeah, they do. Bird.
Sorry.
They have bird houses.
Bird houses. Okay.
I'll show them to you right here. They're actually also really good fire starters. Come to find out,
The birds are. They
No,
start fires.
they're homes.
Oh.
But up in the right hand corner of this picture is those are all bird house. Well,
Oh, okay. I see them. Yeah.
right. So we were trying to get the fire going one night. and-
Those would be nests.
right. They look like birdhouses, literally. But Hendrik grabbed one and it lit right up. Of course, we're like, "Hey, is there any birds in there?"
Right.
But there wasn't.
Have some scrambled eggs.
Right. It's kind of scary. But you know, just showing you here that whether the tree, yeah, for us not so good, but for other animals, they use them. So the ecosystem is very hingy, right?
Okay.
It can hinge on the water, it can hinge on the weather, it can hinge on, but it also needs their help
Right.
because you can't let it go, or else you end up what happened to COVID.
Right.
So, you know, it to me, it's come down to be amazing as to what they can do and what they have done with what they are given to work with over there.
Was there anything that they were doing besides adding mineral to the soil? Were they manipulating the soil in any way to promote
Nope.
anything?
Nope. The only time they did that was maybe a salt block here and there.
Okay.
They didn't, they didn't add anything to it. No crops or nothing like that, like we talked about. The weather. So I was there in May. It was definitely important to stay hydrated. That is, again, now that they've worked with the property to get you to come hunt there, now they got to take care of you. They kept us well hydrated. Always had a cooler. They asked you what your favorite drink was, and they always had water. So 45 in the morning to about 75, 80 in the day. So by 9 or 10 o'clock, you were taking off the hoodie. And but when you did get there in that heat of the day, you definitely made sure, especially if you were out on the back of a truck, you were going to be stalking, making sure you were hydrated and everything, because, like Mark said, not a hospital around. So we made sure to stay hydrated, get a snack, have some snacks, make sure you had that fuel going. We even had fuel in the morning. I always like to have a peanut butter and jelly before breakfast, but we went out and hunted. But yeah, it definitely very important to stay hydrated. They did a fantastic job of taking care of us to get there. So
Talked about them taking care of everything.
it was awesome. And then when you sit back and as we had a little time on our hands to talk about what they do, and these stories came across of the bull, the springbuck, all the other animals that are dependent on them for what they do, and then hearing the sad stories of COVID, it was just like, wow. So, a big shout out to them for working with what they have, the property, managing it, talking with other managers to see, hey, nope, don't hunt my property. I don't have the animals for you. I gotta let them come back.
Right.
Or the other one was a bunch of years we are actually after kudu in there, and there was really good sign there. There was actually one more property that Dave and Hendrick went to, and they saw a lot of game animals there. So he's quite excited to be picking that one up, and I think that was a new property actually.
So when they're working with the actual landowners, the consortium, is that the landowner that has the property, or is
It's the property.
It's the property. Okay.
Yeah.
So somebody owns that property, has the animals there, and has somebody to maintain those animals.
Yep.
A game manager.
The big one, the 27 had a game manager. The smaller one where we got the sable, it was actually the owner himself.
Okay.
So he was dual purposing. He was a cattle rancher / I have game animals on my property.
So then, Matwetwe,
Yep.
the outfit that you were with, they work with the landowners. Say, hey, I've got X amount of hunters. We're looking for this type of animal. So they get their fees, and then all of a sudden, when you take an animal from the land, and the landowner gets his fees.
Right.
So that's where all the money it gets spread out.
And
to.
what they know is, okay, so what do you want to hunt? You want to hunt zebra. Okay, we've got zebra here, here, and here. And depending on where you are in the rotation of the hunting coming in, they won't overhunt a property. They'll be like, okay, we've been there enough.
Right.
We're not going to go hunt zebra over there. We're going to go over here. Haven't been there in a while, so we'll go over here. Now, they might have been in that property hunting something else, but maybe not zebra. Or maybe they were hunting giraffe. Maybe they were hunting wildebeest. They did enough. Trust me, it was actually hunting, because those animals did not stick around long enough. As soon as they saw the truck or heard the truck, or they just didn't say, walk right up to you.
Wonder what they're going to feed me.
Yeah, right? No, it was, the zebra was one of the hardest ones that they just, besides blending in really well, they were gone, and because there was all these other animals, impala and wildebeest, in the same area, it was really tough. So, but it was hunted. Now, I did get 2 there. Going back, now, okay, that's where we went in, because we had zebra, sable, and kudu was all on 3 different properties. So it was like we were rotating. We knew, and that's what they wanted to do to keep it fresh. So it was pretty cool. How important is it to have an auto mechanic in camp? There's a top auto body garage. Oh, that's funny you say that. So they have trucks, and they do what they can, but they do have garages that they can take their auto to. But, so Harm got rear-ended, and literally the box of his truck got pushed into his cab. So, did the whole insurance thing. So the problem was, they're going to need his truck for like 3 weeks.
During the middle of hunting season.
He's like, I can't do that. Maybe if you tell me when you can give me my parts, I'll bring in, give me a day or 2.
Right.
No. So that was actually going on while we were there, and so he was trying to work out something to get his truck fixed, but they do, and it's very important to have a dependable truck. You don't want to be stuck out there. Now, they did all have radios, so if they did, or we needed help, we could call on the radio, and it would been no problem. But they do have, it's very important, and they make sure to maintain those vehicles all the time.
Bucket list.
Oh, bucket list. other than Denise's black, she wants to shoot a black Impala, is what she wants to shoot.
What about you?
Me, I want to shoot a common Impala at this point. I'd like to shoot. I think the two that if I go back, this is the one Denise wants to shoot here, and I tell you what, this animal is downright beautiful. Not gonna lie, but that's a black Impala there. I want to shoot a common one, so I think when we go back, she'll shoot a black, I'll shoot a common, and then wildebeest. I'd like to shoot. I want to shoot a golden, and she wants to shoot a common wildebeest.
Okay.
So that'd be the 4.
Sounds like a plan.
Well, yeah, and you know what? And it will be. It's good in the back of your mind knowing what they've done for their properties.
Mm-hmm.
That it should be no problem.
You've been there now. You've seen how they manage.
Oh yeah, it's like if they, barring a disaster of epic proportion, they are maintaining it for the longevity of. Well, Harm's 22.
Mm-hmm.
It should be able to go on for a long time.
Looking back after being over there, or maybe while you were there, was there any discussion or have you thought about, well, we do this here in the States with some of our species, would that work over there? Why don't you use this practice over there? Was there anything that popped up in your head like that?
So, really looking at, other than the COVID issues that they had, being that they only take mature bucks,
Mm-hmm.
it's almost like, or mature animals, that they help weed out the older ones. The predators will take care of the sick ones.
Mm-hmm.
And anything other than that, they really, barring something that if maybe they have a disease come in they have to do,
Mm-hmm.
they work through it, and they really don't have anything like what we have here. It's kind of weird. I was telling him a story of a typical Michigan opener,
Okay.
and I said it's amazing that yes, it is hunting season for them because they can hunt too.
Right.
And they did. There were a week before, Harm went with his buddies over to another place and they did some hunting. But it wasn't like a November 15th.
You didn't hear the shots all over.
You didn't hear that. I might have heard one other shot,
Okay.
maybe. But it was not like that, oh, here comes daylight and it's all massive just gunfire, right?
Gotcha.
So that was different. It was really nice to know I'm the only one hunting on this property. This truck, these 2 hunters, this professional hunter, and this tracker.
That's it.
That's it. And so I'll tell you how, kind of like the DNR, look out for people and stuff like that. So we the first couple of days we went into this one property, and we always seen these 2 guys on the side of the road walking their dogs, and Harm was really
Suspicious?
So he talked to him a little bit, and they said that, oh, we're working for this guy here, and it's like, okay. Well, it didn't take him long to tell his dad, and then he got on the phone and called him up and says, hey, do you got 2 workers working for you? And he came back and said, yep, they're with me. But that was one of the things when we were, they see that, they look out and call it in, right? And because on the other property we found an illegal snare as we were walking through the bush. So as one thing, he was pretty upset to find it, but I'm glad we found it. And there was no dead animal in it, right? It was a snare, and God forbid if an animal would have got in there, and it wouldn't have been right because it was being illegally taken.
Right.
So that's kind of their DNR. So
Themselves.
right? They look out for themselves and find out what's going on. So
I know we didn't talk about this a whole lot on the show, the 2 episodes we had on before, but we were talking about, planning things and for game animals. Y'all went and did some wing shooting in sunflowers. Now, were those wild sunflower patches, or were they planted?
No, so that is a very big crop that they have there in that area is the sunflower.
Was that planted for the birds, or was it planted as a cash crop?
Cash crop.
Okay.
That is for sunflower seed oil, but that was a huge. I'm trying to find the picture of it. That is a big cash crop in that area, is the sunflower, and here we go.
So you're just hoping to take a few birds off, keep them from eating some sunflower seeds.
And I tell you what, between Dave and I, there's a lot living. I might have went through 2 boxes of shells, but there's a lot living. But you can see here that, this was one of our fun days, and yes, this was, you'll see, they make sunflower seed oil out of this, and you literally, that's what they are. They're, well, obviously head high on me. Unfortunately, a few died by my case, but this was, we went and shot some doves, which we can't do here in Michigan,
right?
Which was fun, and some guinea. That another just out there shooting. There's my guinea, but it was fun for us, but. We help them get rid of a few animals that might be pecking at their sunflowers, right?
There you go.
So
and had some tasty dinners,
right? But yeah, so that was kind of the besides going to Africa and hunting was a kind of a backstory of knowing what it takes to make
it happen.
There are 8 weeks that they come here to get those hunts over there. It's 365 days. For them.
Yeah, there's a lot of planning and a lot of work that goes into being able to make these hunts what they are.
Exactly. So I just wanted to, their conservation that they have over there is just an amazing thing that they do. They don't rely on anybody else. Obviously, veterinarians come into play and stuff like that, which they need. But they all work together in the end, and because they know, if you don't have any animals, you don't have.
They don't have any hunts,
right? So they wanted to make it the best experience possible
and maintain the species,
right?
So
hopefully, a couple years go back, we'll have a couple more on our list, and hopefully we'll see. They'll be back here in February.
Okay.
I just talked to him real briefly Saturday night. Just said hi to him. So can't wait to see him in February. We'll get him here for 8 weeks.
Nice.
So I'm sure we'll try to.
Get him on the show.
We're gonna try to get him out ice fishing.
Ah.
I asked him. I said, "You ever been ice fishing?" He goes, "No." His dad has, but he hasn't.
Okay.
I said, "Okay, we
That's
gotta
a plan.
we gotta get you on some ice." So
there we go.
Maybe we can break him away for a day, and get him out on the ice to do some ice fishing.
That'd be fun.
It would be a blast. It would literally. He's seen it, but he doesn't know. He hasn't experienced it.
Well, hopefully when he's here in February, we'll have some good enough weather to get some good solid ice. Or we just travel north a little bit.
Right, and we'll be on the west side of the state there because that show's coming back. Wellers, that show will be back.
2024?
Yeah, that'll be January, I think it is. But I think they're coming in February. They'll be at all the SCI shows. They'll be at the SCI show in Pierre and Flint.
Good. We had to hook up with them. And
yep.
Pick their brains on a few things. So.
And there's a lot. I'm thoroughly amazed by not just the business and the hunting aspect, but watching conservation as they know it and how they use it to maintain it.
So, well, that's it for us tonight, folks. Just a little glimpse into what it takes in other countries. Dana got to experience it firsthand, and I thought it was worthwhile to kind of bring this to light and spread it to the people here. Makes you think a little differently, maybe, of African hunts. If you're not, a lot of people say, well, why would you want to do that?
I'm telling you the truth. It was not on my priority list for a lot of years.
Yeah, it's people. People look down at it you know,
especially when you tell them you're hunting in an enclosure.
yeah,
But then you say, okay, you try hunting a 3-mile enclosure and try to find the animal that you're after.
right, yeah, exactly.
We were in a 27 square mile one, and that took me all day to last 10 minutes just to get a shot on one. So, like you said, it's awareness. Again, other people might not like it, but don't criticize the people that do.
Yeah, and take a look at what work goes into it and how they're managing the game species. That's, we might be able to learn something from them. The thing the big takeaway for me was when you had told me when you come home about, man, you're not going to believe what they did. They took the contents of the stomach of this animal and made this concoction, and they put it into the stomachs of 30 living animals.
Yep.
To inoculate them or to condition their stomachs to where they would be able to thrive and survive where they're going.
Exactly.
I thought that was pretty cool.
That was pretty cool. So we learned a lot, which was a great experience.
So next week
we're going to have an interview of something. Not sure who we got lined up. I'm waiting on a couple emails to come back to say thumbs up, thumbs down.
Right.
But we'll definitely have somebody to interview next week. And also it will be August.
Will it be August? I haven't looked at
August 1st
calendar.
is Tuesday.
Wow.
Right?
Where has the year went?
Before you know it, it's going to be that magic time of the year called hunting season.
I'm looking forward to the fall. I've got a couple camping trips still planned. I'm heading up even further than where you hunt.
Yes, you are. You're heading further west.
Yeah,
The northwest.
the northwestern point of Michigan, just about as far as you can go. Going to be on the south shore of Lake Superior, so
Right?
looking forward to that.
And if you want a going away,
Give me a going away parting shot
a
here.
going away view of another ship, that looks southbound. So
Somebody's heading south.
there's got a lot of traffic on there tonight.
There is a lot of traffic, a lot of boat traffic there. That's Port Huron, right?
It's St. Clair, I think, somewhere.
Okay.
I don't think it's Port Huron.
So are we looking across the river at Canada?
That would be Canada to the left. If it's that's around the bend.
Okay.
Now look at that little ship coming at. But if you ever want to go have a great day, go up on the river and just watch boats go by.
Yeah.
That Algonac State Park is a good place to do that.
It is.
You can literally just sit there and get the app and watch the boats go by and know all the information about them.
Yeah, that app, just in case anybody wants to know, it's a free download, but it's Marine Traffic. If you go to the App Store or Google Play and search for Marine Traffic, it'll give you all of the ships, wherever it's at. I mean, it's all over the world. It's incredible. And click on it and tell you the name of the ship, where it's headed, and all that kind of good stuff. So
Right?
pretty cool.
Also this week, I hope to get out and do some kayak fishing. Hopefully Adam will be available.
Okay.
If you're available to do some fishing this weekend, you're more than welcome to come out to the campground. Got some Hud's lures to try out.
Well, heck yeah. Name the time of the day. I'll try to squeeze away depending on what's going on. I really don't know what's going on this weekend as of yet. So.
All right, but if we are out on the water, we will definitely do some live. We also have some new apparel to show off. We're not going to give it away yet.
That's right. You brought some over tonight.
I
for me.
brought for you. Yep.
Be wearing it proudly.
Right, exactly. It's supposed to be a little warm, so it might be an evening wear. But definitely hope to get out and do some kayak fishing. If you haven't been out there, we're getting into August, so your fall crop should start to be going in.
There you go.
And happy birthday to Robbie Pruitt.
Robbie Pruitt, Antler King.
Yeah, it's his birthday.
His birthday, okay.
So, other than that, man, stay tuned next week. We'll have an interview for you. It's going to be great no matter what it is.
All right. Y'all take care. This next week, same time, 7:30 Wednesday night. Remember, if you're listening to us on iTunes, go over there. Give us a review, if you would, please. Follow all of our social media. We're new on TikTok. We've got, 9 or 10 videos that we've created over there. A lot more to come. We're having a lot of fun with that, getting some play on that. So if you're on the TikTok app, go over there and smash that follow and like button. Share it if you would, please. And do the same for us on all of our social media. Share the show for us. That helps people who support us in return. So y'all take care. We'll be back again next Wednesday night, 7:30, right here on Facebook. Y'all take care.